Hi, Hunter Hastings here. Everyone's wondering about the effect of artificial intelligence on entrepreneurship and value creation. Value creation's subjective. It's creative human magic. Somehow, a very special kind of person, maybe working on a team or inside a corporate structure, gets a sense from the other human beings, customers, that something is vaguely wrong and something could be better. They're dissatisfied. And magically, these entrepreneurial humans turn that into a new product, a new service, one that generates a new experience that's never been known before. The world becomes better. Things are improved. We make progress. Can machines do this? Can AI do this? That's what we're all wondering about.
This is the Value Creators Podcast. Value creation is the sole purpose of any business and every business, and for all of us as entrepreneurs. Listen to great value creators as they share their successes, trials, and lessons learned. Join us as we explore how to think as value creators, how to act as value creators, and how to view business through the lens of value creation.
Our guest today is Dr. Raushan Gross. He's Associate Professor of Business Management and Leadership at Pfeiffer University. He's a deep thinker about entrepreneurship, and he's been a guest on our program before under its old brand name of Economics for Business. If you search on our current site, thevaluecreators.com, for his episodes and a couple of ebooks that he wrote and we published, you'll find a lot of wonderful content. He's been thinking recently about AI and entrepreneurship, and he published a series of articles on Mises.org, which is quite definitive about the current state of that intersection. We're going to hear directly from him today. Raushan, welcome to the Value Creators Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here again. It has been some time, but glad to be back and talk a little bit.
Well, you've been a frequent guest in the past. Thank you. And I know you're not feeling at 100% today because of COVID, so we appreciate you being here. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. It's been a battle, and we've overcome the battle and ready to get started.
Good. So our subject today is the intersection of AI and entrepreneurship. You've been a deep thinker about entrepreneurship in general. You teach management and leadership and entrepreneurship and business at Pfeiffer. And recently, you've been thinking deeply about the impact of AI on entrepreneurship. You wrote a series of columns in Mises Institute. If anybody wants to, we'll put some links to them. Anybody wants to go find them on the Mises.org site, you just search for Raushan and you'll find them. So we want to explore that today. It's very top of mind, obviously, the impact of AI. We probably don't know fully what it is. I tell you where I'd like to start, Raushan, and that is you're mingling with young people all the time. You're teaching them. You're in class. You're in discussions. They grew up in the digital world. They grew up with machine learning and AI and TikTok and all those other things. How do they, as future business people, future entrepreneurs, how do they think about AI? Is it just the normal environment, or is it a special tool, or what are they thinking?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that was the question that I had maybe a year ago or so when I started writing on AI and entrepreneurship and economics. And just my thoughts and my opinions is what I'm going to talk about this in this podcast, and doesn't necessarily represent anyone else, just my observations and my research that I thought is really important at this time that we're in. Like you said, we're in this intersection where we don't quite know what it is. We don't know what the outcomes are going to be, but we've seen the benefits of using AI and sub-intelligence and learning systems and all the rest. Well, in class, we're talking about what's happening, the change in management, change in the way that we interact in the marketplace. And some of the students thought that they were afraid of what AI could offer the market and how they use technology. And the other half of the class thought, hey, bring it on. We want more technology. We love the use of sub-intelligence and technology. And I went back to the drawing board and I thought about the conversation I had with my students. And, they we often talk about things that are relevant to our lives. And I said, hold on. So, half of the class was fearful that AI and subintelligence and machine learning would somehow harm them or take their jobs and there would be no careers in the future. And I said, let me look into this. And so that started the series of articles at Mises. And it's been positive feedback from the articles. So I think, yes, a lot of younger, and I don't like using that term, but, that age group that are on TikTok and different platforms, I think they love the capabilities. That's the way they interact with each other. They interact with professors, but I don't think they understand the dynamics of the subintelligence that was being used. And so we had that conversation. You watch Netflix, you order things from a provider online, you're using artificial intelligence. They meet people online if they want to date or court someone. Well, you're using sub intelligence. I think that was the missing element is knowing to the extent to which their technology that they use has artificial intelligence and sub intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the background now. We don't even know when it's working. Oh, we don't think about it, as you say.
We don't think about it. And even just, when I try to write about this topic, it was very difficult because you have the doomsday vision, the dystopian vision that, the machines are going to turn on people. And then you have the entrepreneurs, on the other hand, that says, well, if I use this intelligence, I can get customers their deliveries faster. We can put more items on the grocery store aisles. We can market and we can enable different communities through social media to interact if we use this AI technology and sub-intelligence to create and at least provide that value that customers demand.
Yeah. One of the questions you asked, Raushan, in your articles was, can AI actually become a better entrepreneur than the human? So we know it can augment and it can help, but can it become better at discovering markets and creating value propositions and getting the right pricing and that kind of thing? Will it become a better entrepreneur than the humans, do you think?
I think there's still more yet to come. I think it's more to see and the functionality of it and how entrepreneurs may use it in ways that they discover might be more beneficial. So would it become better? Absolutely not. I still believe in human ingenuity. I believe in human compassion to serve others, their neighbors, their communities. So I don't think there'll be a better entrepreneur than the humans. It will be an active tool for entrepreneurs. It will augment the process and enable them to do the things that we enjoy, the products, the services, the delivery speed. And Valentine's Day is coming up. So entrepreneurs, business owners might have to use a little AI if they want to compete with the other florist companies.
Yeah, to understand the female mind, right?
To understand the female mind, to get the price of roses right,
Yeah, exactly. And the exact color and so on. There were a couple of concepts in your articles which I hadn't heard before. One was the concept of AI as a service, that for entrepreneurs, it's something they can just download from the internet and use and plug in. And then also you had a concept of, I think you called it AI stacking, where we can combine a lot of different AI tools into a bigger and better system. So tell us about those two things, AI as a service and AI stacking, so be sure we understand them.
So I'm thinking in the mind of an entrepreneur. And I know there's a lot of things going on in media where they're saying, oh, well, AI and artificial intelligence can do this or that. And of course, anything can be used for nefarious reasons. But in that situation, I'm thinking, how can an entrepreneur use or lease a bundle of AI packages and then just return that bundle? So the model that I was thinking of is, let's say, a used car model or a rental car model. You're going out of state, going out of the country, you need to rent a car. And as a rentor, I'm not going to pop the hood and look under the car to make sure the engine is good and the timing belt is tight enough. And I don't want to own it. I just want to use it so I can travel and go see local sites and history and museums and things like that. And thinking as an entrepreneur that you don't want to invest so much money into a particular service if you're using it for a certain project or maybe a new product launch, maybe there's a marketing launch you're doing. You just want to use it for a project. And so why not allow entrepreneurs to lease a bundle of AI services? And it could be an AI services for everything. And I think I specified that in the article there and gave sort of a model of how users can stack different parts of the architecture of that bundle to make it fit their own needs. After they use it, you return it. Kind of like a Netflix subscription model. It brings you to mind of some entrepreneurs don't want to own or have a long-term engagement with the architect that's building the model. So you just sort of lease it, and you can sort of DIY, fix the stacks the way that you want them and how you want the model to convert the output that you need and that sort of concept. So it's still in the beginning stages, but that's more or less what I was thinking and where things should go. I don't know this for sure right now, but it would be awful if there was a prohibition of AI. I think that would stymie a lot of discovery, opportunity for entrepreneurs that really are trying to provide value to their customers.
Yeah. Mark Andreessen's been really good on that, the techno-optimist as opposed to the techno-pessimist. We should be techno-optimists.
That's right. Are you much of an optimist?
Oh, yeah. I'm a techno-optimist.
Okay.
Everything's getting better all the time. That's the way I look at it. Might take some diversions as we discover what better is, but I'm a positive thinker in that sense. Another suggestion I heard, Raushan, and I think you alluded to this in your article, is that a lot of entrepreneurship, a lot of business is done in teams. And if we think of AI as a team member with some special capabilities, but just a team member, you interact with other team members, you share goals, you have a common task. That's another way that entrepreneurs could think about AI. Have your students thought in that direction?
Students are leaning in that direction. And I think it's been a long time coming, particularly certain age groups that have grown up with technology. They're native to a lot of the technological advances. And they don't see any difference. There's no difference to them between looking something up on the internet or asking ChatGTP, the newest version, asking a question. I find that many of my students study their notes using certain software. And so they look at it more or less as a partner with a tutor, perhaps. And I think they see it that way. Joseph Schumpeter, I think, said it right, that there are waves of technological advances, and these waves come and go. And being in the classroom, I see these waves of technological advances, shifts in preferences and ideas. I see them very up close. While I think students still need to understand the education process, I think outside of that, on their own time, doing their studying, of course, they can use certain software and AI, and they're doing it already. They're using a lot of ways of put your notes in and kind of check yourself and make sure you understand the definition of a term. Perhaps they're looking up a concept. They're like, Dr. Gross just said this concept. What is this about? And they may go and do some research. As long as they're not doing it, using it to do the work for them, I think we're okay. But yes, as a tool. And I was talking with an entrepreneur the other day, matter of fact, an entrepreneur in North Carolina. And he was talking about his entrepreneurial team and how they think about new advances in their product lines. And they were saying how they have used sub-intelligence and it sort of helped them think about their ideas in a different way. Just throwing things into the model and see what comes out. Maybe there is, this thing where the outsider has to tell the insiders, hey, no, 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 this is where things are going. Try this, innovation or this product.
Well, so that's a very positive picture, I think, of AI elevating the entrepreneurial process. But one of our recent guests, LaShawn Smith, said small and medium businesses have an opportunity now to cut out the boring stuff they don't like, the back room and the accounting and so on like that. You can automate that with AI and other tools, which leaves you free to do the creativity and the value creation and that kind of thing.
I gave an example of that in one of the papers. I just want to go back a little bit. I was at a retirement party at a place I was working at the time, and one of the workers who were retiring said, look, I remember when computers came into the workplace. And the person said, as soon as the computers came in, they set them up, people were gone. They didn't want to learn the computer. They didn't want to use it in the workplace to cut out the typewriters and other functions that were just time consuming. They were task oriented, time consuming responsibilities. Here comes the computer. And the person said the next day, after the computers were set up in the office place for the first time, about a third of the office, that department, went somewhere else to work where they could avoid the computer. Now, here we are, 2024. I think some of the sentiments are the same. If AI and subsystems are retrofitted for the workplace to take care of XYZ responsibilities, they think they're losing their job, which Rothbard called technological unemployment. And we haven't seen that. We've never seen, if anything, the computer and now AI and sub-intelligence and learning systems are actually enhancing the productivity of people in the workplace.
Yeah, and making it more interesting in the sense of you can learn faster, you can do more, you can achieve more, you're augmented. So it's more fun, I think, to be in a job where you can use AI.
You can use AI, yeah.
Yeah. So you said something interesting earlier, Raushan, about the students asking questions and getting answers and finding their knowledge that way. But I wonder whether that's just an interim phase and the AI will eventually go beyond that and start making autonomous decisions. That's what automation is to a certain extent. Again, in a positive sense, freeing up the humans to do more creative things that can't be automated. But is it getting to the point where it's making decisions like that, at least algorithmic decisions, proceeding without permission?
Well, there's still more to come. There's a lot out there. AI sub-intelligence that's been around for a very long time. What we're seeing today is sort of the more people are involved in the conversation about AI and what it can and can't do. So students are normally the group of people that are the innovators in society. If we look at the different categories of customers in the marketplace, they're normally on the front end of a lot of this technology, and they're using it regardless. They're using it for everything. Does it have a mind of its own? Maybe. Yeah. Some people say that it does. How do you thwart that? That's still a question that's going to remain for some time. However, when I think about AI and when I think about the autonomous ability that sub-intelligence and automation can bring, I think about what regular folks do. And I'm thinking, okay, how do regular folks get some of the prices of eggs and milk lowered? How do we create a marketplace where the prices are amendable to how real people have to survive in the economy? That's what I look at in terms of, more technology is supposed to fulfill demand and should allow for more production, which thereby should lower the cost of that product or service. And that's what I want to see. So if a sub-intelligence produces a model or algorithm that says, look, we need to lower the prices here, and we can do this and place more emphasis in this area of production, I'm all about it, because that's what I look at is how does technology bring prices down, not raise prices or the cost of doing business.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's what they call deflationary in that sense. It should lower prices by increasing productivity. It also can increase well-being, I think. The feeling that things are going well, I'm empowered, things are achievable, things are easier, I'm more comfortable. I think the general feeling of well-being should go up. So it's very positive in that sense too.
And just to add to that, anyone out there plays golf, now there's an AI capability with golf clubs. And a student of mine plays golf and said, Dr. Gross, have you heard about the AI capability with golf clubs? And I thought, oh my gosh, I need that. I need all the AI guidance on the golf course that I can get.
Does it help your swing? I haven't come across that.
I think it will.
That's great.
I think it will, especially my short game. But the student was very excited about it. And so these sort of, like you said, the well-being, feeling good about certain things and activities and a golf club with AI capability, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
More people would play.
Yeah, exactly. And do well. So one of the possible fears that you expressed in your articles, and other people have expressed this, is the centralization of AI, in the sense that it's so expensive to run these massive data sets. The computing stacks are super expensive. Only a few giant corporations can afford that. So there develops a oligopoly or some kind of central concentration. And if you're in China, that's the state. So you get state centralization of AI. What's your thinking on that front?
I think that's spot on. In the article, I really went into how that could possibly happen. And I wouldn't doubt that there is a force out there that would prefer to centralize AI and subintelligence. The only thing that's going to do is stymie ingenuity in the future. Because if we're not quite sure how it's going to fit within the operations and then the economy of how people use it and entrepreneurs use it to better their business and offerings to customers, it's going to stymie that technology. And unfortunately, we may not know what it could do. This is reminiscent of mid 1990s when they were rolling out the internet for everyone. And, there was different camps saying, hey, if we do this, this is going to be a bad thing. However, if we offer internet, people could enable interaction, network connections. This could really open up, like you said, an economy of well-being. Well, the internet has been released. We're all using the internet. We've all fit that service, that idea into our lives. Fast forward, I think it's going to be the same concept. You're going to have a few people that's going to have control over it, unfortunately. But then they're going to see how the economic calculation is going to have to kick in. And that's something that I talked about in the article, is the economic calculation that must exist. We're all producers and consumers alike. And if we're all producers and consumers, we're all looking for a better product, better service. And only a few can't quite apply the service uniformly across an economic market that will allow ingenuity, innovation, and sort of the best allocation of that particular value for entrepreneurs. So it's going to have to open up. This is one of the things that I think we discussed before, is the idea of free market. I think will at some point become a reality out of necessity.
Sure, out of individual drive. One of the pathways, one of the stepways towards that I've been playing around with is you take the LLM, the giant data model that's behind, whether you use ChatGPT or Llama or one of those, but then you further train it, if that's the right word, I'm not sure it is now, but on specific content. So we've been uploading Austrian economics textbooks and papers and articles and that kind of thing to give it an Austrian point of view on top of its LLM capabilities. And then if you ask it the right questions, I'm being coached here by the AI experts, you generate Q&A pairs which are unique because of that unique training. So you're still using the centralized AI, but you're fine tuning your own perspective or version of it. So there's something in that pathway, I think, Raushan.
Absolutely. And I think it could be used for those reasons, particularly for entrepreneurs that are designing, working on different projects, or disseminating information related to their product, their service, their specialty. Going to be a great dissemination tool.
Yeah. And then one of your great ideas in your articles was at global scale, AI is the wealth of nations. So that's your Adam Smith reference. And the nations who are most energetic and hard driving on integrating AI developments into the economy, those are the ones that'll win. And maybe America's in the lead now, but maybe we won't be in the future. So what do you see on that front?
Well, I only see that right now, and I'm interested, like you, to see how this all plays out. This is kind of a new epoch. If you watch in the news of the countries that are racing to be the number one provider or producer or architect for this thing, I mean, this is just amazing. So you're going to get the best and the brightest to come out, and their performance in this area will determine in the future who's going to lead in AI capability.
Yeah, there was some data in Tyler Cowen's blog, Marginal Revolution, about that. He's been looking at Chinese AIs, and they're catching up with ChatGPT 4, but they're already better on Chinese characters. If you put in the hieroglyphic Chinese characters, many, many more can be coped with by the Chinese AI. And maybe that's the language of the future.
Who knows?
Yeah. So one of the revolutions, getting back to business, we've been hearing about what Elon Musk is doing with AI and Tesla. And a couple of things come to mind. One is he said the algorithm can assess the level of value creation that a team is producing and then reallocate them in real time to a higher and better use if the algorithm can figure that out. So that seems to me it changes management entirely. That becomes a dynamic, continuous reallocation process. You don't have budgets, you don't have plans, you just got this continuous flow.
Like a value meter.
Yeah. Or value, yeah, that's a great word. Value stream. Yeah, but constantly monitoring how much value we're creating. That would be a great thing for entrepreneurs, right? If we had a constant value meter. I'm going to steal your term. I love that.
That's right. It's a value meter.
Yeah.
And I think it will have some honesty when it comes to particularly some workplaces where, not everyone there is equally productive. Even entrepreneurs that are out there, some are not as productive as others. So I think a value meter is absolutely spot on. I've been doing some research on meetings and how much meetings cost an organization and who is in the meeting and how much they cost the organization. And so that would be a shoe-in to see if when people meet, is there value in the meeting or should their energies be placed in other areas of the operation? I think that would be very interesting.
Yeah, I think Elon's idea is no meetings.
Right. We're seeing more and more that, the researchers are looking into this. How much does it cost to hold a meeting? And is there value in this meeting? If not, that person could be servicing their customers, servicing other operations. It's like the economy where they, have these businesses that just don't go away. And you're thinking there could be other businesses that come in that could do a better job. They could add more value. The value meter.
Yeah, we've got it.
That's
Value
our
meter. I wrote it
takeaway
down.
right there. Yeah.
Yeah. You and I own it. We share it.
That's
It was
right.
created on this podcast.
I want to ask you one thing about that. So you've worked in corporate, I've worked in corporate. And if we think about, the value meter or algorithm telling management, hey, there's not a lot of value going on here today. We're not really getting that value marker where we want it to be. I see that as changing the way managers think about the allocation of responsibilities, duties, and tasks. Do you think that might change or revolutionize the way that we look at management as a function of business and corporate work?
Yeah, I do. I think that's it's ongoing. We're right at the very beginning, but there's a big debate in the management. I call it management science, although it's not really a science, but the rank of management that says that we've got to rethink it in two terms. One is we think of it as a process, and it's not. As with the value meter going, it's a flow. It's a constant reallocation. It's not a step-by-step process. And second, we tend to think of it as organization. How shall I assemble how these people and departments work together? And again, with AI, it's not organization. It's network and figuring out the flows between the nodes on the network and how you're developing knowledge through those flows. So I think, at least in the digital corporations, the big ones today, the Amazons and the Teslas and the Metas and so on, they're thinking that way. The problem is in the old economy and the GEs and people like that, where you've got these old structures of command and control. So yeah, you're exactly right. The Peter Drucker Forum, which is one of these management think tanks in Europe, has declared the next 5 years the period of reimagining management from scratch. What is it in the digital age?
Absolutely. After doing a lot of research on Peter Drucker and reading a lot of his works, he was ahead of his time then, but things have changed. Our focus now in many corporations and businesses is on value and customer well-being, customer happiness. And how do we drive that? Which means there's going to have to be a switch in terms of how we manage. And like you said, the hierarchies of control versus enabling. So I think there's going to be a lot of work in management that needs to be done to catch up to where we are today. But that's going to take a lot of work because I know in many cases, we have these titles and hierarchies. And with sub-intelligence, the way things are going in the new economy, it's about the value. It's about the productivity and how do you measure those things and service the consumer. And so, yeah, it's going to have to be a new rethinking along those lines.
The systems thinkers say that old style of management that you just created, it's from the inside, the management ranks, and it's generally top down, although we're trying to figure out how to change that. But in modern digital systems, it's from the outside, the customer buying on Amazon or inputting their own preferences, and it's from the bottom up. So this outside in, bottom up approach is the opposite of management, and we've got to figure out how to incorporate those two ideas, which are opposite.
Exactly.
Peter Drucker was miles ahead of his time. He wrote the book that said replace management with entrepreneurship in the 80s, 89 or something?
Absolutely. Now we got to pick up where he left off and carry it forward.
Exactly. Yeah, it's 35 years ago. We haven't made much progress.
Well, Rothbard was ahead of his time. He talked about automation to a very large extent and what can come out of it and how it would not change the way that employees would work, and there would be plenty of work. Work is not going anywhere. It's just going to look different. It's just going to change. It's going to be a reallocation. But the job of the human is always going to be there and be a big component of our economy and running a business to drive value to our customers. So, yeah, absolutely. So maybe that could be the topic of our next discussion.
Well, I'm definitely going to classify you as a techno-optimist, Raushan.
I am.
That's good.
Hey, we're connecting through technology right now.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, your students are lucky to have you to help them think through these opportunities and these changes and encourage them the way you do. So I'm sure they appreciate that.
Thank you. And I appreciate you letting me come on your show and talk about the papers. The papers had a lot to offer in terms of we're turning that corner, thinking about AI. Nothing is perfect, but we're really trying to think about it in the best way possible. And thank you for having me on and being able to discuss this topic.
Good. Well, we'll come back in a couple of months and see. The rate of progress is fast, right? So we need to keep up. Good, Raushan. Thank you very much for today. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you, Hunter. Thank you so much for having me.
This has been another episode of the Value Creators Podcast. Thanks for listening. You can visit thevaluecreators.com for links and resources related to this episode, and check out hunterhastings.com for more content on entrepreneurial business management based on value creation principles.